Sports often gives us the most inspiring rags to riches stories. Athletes who rose from nothing to sign million-dollar deals. From hunger and hardship to fame and fortune, it's what makes the game beautiful. But today we're looking at the darker side.
Okay. He is a professional fighter. Us and his management team has been trying to get him help.
The athletes who made it to the top, only to throw it all away because they couldn't escape the shadows of their past.
But behind closed doors, steroids made things volatile.
A former professional skateboarder and now convicted killer.
A player who was once destined to play for Brazil football team murdered his child's mother and fed it to dogs. An MMA fighter who, despite having a bright UFC career, chose to attempt killing his girlfriend and then attempted to take his own life later. Welcome to Sports Wallet, and today we'll be talking about the athletes who couldn't escape their past. But before we get down to business, kindly hit that subscribe button. We're yet to complete 1,000 subscribers to make a living out of this channel. Let's start with Delonte West, who went from playing with LeBron James to this. In 2004, Delonte West entered the NBA with high hopes after starring at St. Joseph's University. By 2008, he was playing alongside LeBron James on a Cavaliers team chasing championships. But behind the scenes, it was a different story. West had a tough upbringing, a super painful past, where West has described his childhood as happy poor and has said that he lived with various relatives. During his teen years, West states that he abused drugs, engaged in self-harm, and spent time in children's hospitals. And then one day, it was revealed that West has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And then, by every passing day, life became hard on him. And then one day, Dallas Mavericks also released him from their roster. In 2020, heartbreaking photos surfaced of him homeless and panhandling in Dallas. Mark Cuban personally picked him up from a gas station and paid for rehab. But recovery hasn't been easy.
You want them to get help, but some things you can't help on everything.
Right.
Bruno Fernandes de Souza, the most disturbing case in the sporting world. A star goalkeeper for Flamengo, and even wore the captain's armband. Many believed he was destined for Brazil's national team. In the beginning of 2010, many big clubs came knocking on the door for him. AC Milan was the most interested one, and he was negotiating with them. With the entire Brazil seeing a new Dida in him, he had other things on his mind. Despite being married, he was having an affair with actress and model Elisa Samudio, and when Samudio gave birth to his child, he refused to pay the child support. And when Samudio sued Bruno, she disappeared within days. But what was shocking in all that was that Samudio's kid ended up with Bruno's current partner. And when police started investigation, a 17-year-old cousin of Bruno told police that he had taken part in Samudio's abduction with his friend Luis Enrique Ferreira Romao. He also stated that Samudio was dead but did not say how she died nor where her body was. But later on he revealed that Samudio's body was cut up and some parts were fed to dogs while other parts were buried under concrete. On March 2013, he was sentenced to a 22-year jail term for the assault, torture, and murder of his former girlfriend and mother of his youngest child. Upon investigation, it was revealed that he had a very disturbing childhood, where he was abandoned by his father at a very young age, grew up in poverty, crime, in a very brutal neighborhood. Another shocking discovery was that wasn't Samudio's first attempt to get pregnant. A year earlier, Bruno forced her to take abortion pills. Jonathan Copenhaver, known as WarMachine, was born into chaos. Abused by his father and traumatized by his mother's suicide attempt, he grew up angry and volatile. But through sheer aggression and grit, he clawed his way out of that chaos. In the mid-2000s, despite his troubled past and frequent arrests, he trained relentlessly and turned heads in MMA circles. In 2007, he turned a spot on The Ultimate Fighter, and by 2008, he was fighting in the UFC, even securing a brutal knockout win. But his demons followed him. Anger issues, bar fights, and arrests got him cut from promotions. Then came the darkest chapter. In August 2014, he broke into the house of his girlfriend, Christy Mack, where he found her with a friend, Corey Thomas.
I could taste blood in my mouth, so I knew I had been hit in the face.
Where was he striking you?
In the face.
With what?
With his knuckles, closed fist.
What followed was a brutal 2-hour assault. He beat Corey unconscious, then turned to Christy. He punched, kicked, and tortured her, breaking 18 bones, rupturing her liver, knocking out several teeth, and leaving her unable to see from one eye. She escaped only by crawling out while he searched the kitchen for a sharper knife to finish her off.
I told her what I would do is I would just kill her and then I'll put rest in peace.
And it's fair enough, really. Still being so angry, he broke the handle off of the knife and still continued to use the knife blade.
WarMachine fled, triggering a nationwide manhunt. When caught, he attempted suicide in jail. In 2017, he was sentenced to life in prison with no parole for 36 years.
Found guilty of beating up Mack and another man back in 2014.
He wasn't the only one in his circle who ruined their legacy. Copenhagen's best friend and training partner, Phil Baroni, is another person on our list today. Baroni, once known as the New York Badass, was a flashy and aggressive UFC fighter in the early 2000s, famous for his knockout power and brash personality. Making his UFC debut in 2001, Baroni quickly became a fan favorite. For his explosive style and charisma, even fighting in Pride and Strikeforce during his prime. But his career began to spiral as losses piled up, and injuries and personal issues took their toll. Then came the darkest chapter. In January 2023, Baroni was arrested in Mexico for the alleged murder of his girlfriend. According to police reports, he beat her to death during an argument after accusing her of cheating. The story shocked the MMA world. Once a showman in the cage, Baroni was now facing a possible life sentence. Baroni's past reveals a history of anger issues and substance abuse, which may have fueled the tragic events that unfolded in January 2023. His violent past, marked by reckless behavior and a history of temper, seems to have finally caught up with him. Baroni's story is a tragic reminder of how unchecked aggression and personal demons can spiral out of control. And with that, it's time for us to call it a day. We've also made a video on the relation of Russian mafia with UFC. Do have a look at it. Kindly hit that subscribe button and don't forget to click the bell icon.